recording.
Oh, okay.
And now we're on Al's camera, and we are looking at the regular spiral.
So this is the one that was tied up, not the other one.
This is the one that's tied. It's basically the same thing. This one's been ironed. And yeah, so with this one, well, with the other one, what we did is we drew one of these pies. And then we made all of one color, except for what was in the pie. For this one, instead of dyeing this through in just a couple of colors, we're actually going to dye one color one side and the other color another side. So it's, you know, you could do the same with the other, I mean, they're both the same dye. They're both the same fold, I'm sorry, but how we dye it is different. So instead of dyeing a pie shaped here, we're going to dye one side of this one color and one side the other. So what color this actually, since we're on camera, I'll show. My favorite thing to do here is what I call fire flags, which is yellow and red. So with that, this is the easiest to do those with, because yellow and red are both byproducts of yellow. First, we just start by saturating the flag.
So does it give a different pattern, the speed spiral versus the regular spiral?
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, and it'll be pretty obvious. That's why I'm showing you both.
So can you do more than two colors in this kind of?
Well, yeah, you can, but the general thing that you want to do with it is two colors, one on one side, one on the other. But, you know, as with anything, there are ways that you can play with dye. You know, you don't necessarily want a solid color of anything. You want to have multiple colors. That's tie-dye. So we just add dye. With this, we're just adding dye because we want to saturate the whole flag. With our other one, you know, and if you were dyeing these separate colors, you'd want to dye one color on one side and one color on the other. As you can see, the yellow is already starting to go through here, which would be bad if we weren't going to dye this side red, for example. But because we are wanting the whole flag red, I mean yellow and red. Red is a byproduct of yellow and a dark fuchsia. I haven't gone through this, and this is probably a very important part. So our colors with the spectrum on a television, your primary colors are yellow, blue, and red. And in tie-dye, your color spectrum is yellow, blue, and pink. With your pink, combining it with yellow, you make your reds and your oranges. Combining it with blue, you can make your greens. So it's a little different beast. You don't have red to work with as a primary color. It is a secondary color. Tertiary colors are very hard to mix, and if you combine three of your primary colors, you get something that I call mud. You can get in your shades of brown. So again, I'm mixing this up. I don't know that you noticed that, but I started with the base yellow, and then I have a dark yellow.
Just to add some depth.
Just to add some depth, yeah. My yellows are not cooperating. There we go. Alright, now so if I were looking to see if I have enough dye, I would come in here and look in my tight part. So the reason that you don't want this too tight is it's hard to permeate here with the dye. So I see a little bit of white, but I mean just a very snitch just in there I saw. But, oh, and there's some too. Do you see that there's just a little of undyed? But I, for the most part, this is pretty saturated, and I'm happy with that. There's a little bit more white there. I might just put on a little bit more. All right, so then we have our color. So now remember that yellow is pulling. We're going to make a red by using the dark B and just throwing it right on top. See that? What a beautiful red that makes. And I'm not going to put way too much because what's going to end up happening is that red is pulled deep in. So another thing that I tend to do is that you need a little bit of blue to make a good red. So I'm adding a little, in this case, green. It's a very light shade of green. And my point of adding that is just to kind of make it a little bloodier.
A little more depth, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So this side's looking pretty good. If we go around, if I saw the red coming through, I knew that I would know that I had way too much on there. On this side, I'm just going to put a little bit of the rhodamine G, which gives me kind of an orange.
So if there's too much, there's nothing you can do to fix it then.
Well, no, that's right. Once you get the dye on the fabric. So I'm going to now take this part, and I'm going to take just a little bit of violet. You could do the same thing with blue. There we go. And I'm going to get some tertiary color. So violet would be red and blue, and I'm adding it on the yellow, so I'm actually creating mud.
And why are you doing that?
Because I like the contrast. So it's not something you should be totally afraid of. You just want to be able to control it when you put it on there, right? So again, we have, let's throw a little fuchsia on here to get...
And I notice you're touching the flags with the same hand each time, so you don't do a color transfer, right?
Right, so when I pick it up, I'm putting this side down. This is our beautiful orange, but I'm not putting the other side down. That's against my hand. So, good catch. All right, so from this, we put in our box just like that, and 7 minutes in the cooker.
And not completely closed, right?
Yeah, these will pop off if they get too much steam. They're old,
Right.
but yeah, it needs to breathe.